What's up, everybody? New year, same sponsors. We're talking about Elite Sports, the only apparel company that's got our merch squaring around. We're talking about ELETE sports.com. They got everything from squaring around. They also sponsor their own athletes. So if you're trying to get some custom merch for your family, you're looking for a good gift, shop EliteSports.com. Use code SQUARE at checkout to get a nice discount. Tell them the Square Boy sent you. What's up, man? Should you stop our collection too if you're trying to get like a squaring around hoodie, jacket, sweater, hat. We got all that. EliteSports.com. Use code SQUARE. One of the best things you can have is home field advantage. We have that same thing. Use code SQUARE at checkout, homefield.com. You can shop everywhere. Not really Texas State, but I guarantee you if you buy something and you bother them enough, like I've been doing in the off season, eventually, one day, like a phoenix, we shall rise. Homefield.com. Use code SQUARE at checkout. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Squaring Around. I'm Jacob Rodriguez. That is the Texas State Sports Pros. Coming off of a historic President's Day weekend. Andrew, how are you, buddy?
Doing good, Jakey. I've been better, of course. Historic. What's historic about this President's Day weekend?
I think it's just the first time that I've given you reverence on the internet as the president.
Yeah, it's the Texas Sports Prize.
I thought
Yeah,
that was
shout out. You fun fact: the reason people tune into this podcast, maybe you're new to the pod, the reason we did that is because that was the character, the nickname I had in college. University Star still has those YouTube videos up. If you're in case you want to go back and watch, I watched some of them last night, relive the glory days, and I had a lot more hair then. So yeah, good weekend. I locked my keys in my car. That stunk. I watched a lot of Texas State Texas State baseball and softball since the season started. Have you, Jake? You been watching?
I've been watching a lot of baseball.
Yeah.
I've also been watching a lot of UTRGV baseball. Those boys,
Stop it. All right,
those
that's
boys
enough.
beat Dallas Baptist University,
We
bro.
beat Oklahoma State.
I'm just saying. Well, my cousin's on the UTRGV team. Shout out Evan Maldonado.
Are we talking about cousins? Are we
Yeah,
doing
bro.
cousins?
Yeah.
All right. I
He-
want to talk about Jason Morey, who is a center for North Dakota State. Go look that guy up.
Okay.
Go look that guy up. Pull it up right now. Pull it
Okay.
up right now. And show it to the camera. Jackson Morey.
Jackson Moore.
Jacksen. Omori. I want to say.
Are you cousins with this guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Moni? Oh no. There's another dude.
North Dakota State, he's like a small forwardish. He's averaging like 20 points per game for him. Huge, huge. He's got right now early second round draft grade.
Okay, this guy is black. First of all,
He is. Yeah,
everybody,
yeah, he is.
if you're wondering,
Yeah, he is.
if you're Googling at home, and first of all, his name's Jackson Moni. So
How do I
Morit,
spell it?
you said Morit.
Oh, yeah. I
The whole
dyslexia.
YMCA before you could spell this guy's name. Also,
Yeah,
we talked to
dyslexia.
Coach Ricci Woodard. That interview's coming up. This guy calls Sarah Vanderfelt the entire interview.
Yeah. I'm glad you didn't correct that.
Like, why would I? No.
Yeah. Appreciate you.
I thought you were
Here's the
gonna bring
interview,
up,
everybody.
I thought you were gonna bring up that you had DM'd Jessica about her comp for.
Oh, yeah, I did.
You know what I'm talking
Because
about?
Mike White is the head coach at UT, and he was comparing Jessica Mullins to their freshman pitcher.
Mhm.
And I was like, Jessica, do you know who this person is? She goes, no clue. She clearly knows that UT head coach, but does not know this player. She said, I'll have to keep an eye out. If you keep her up with her on social media, she is very invested in Texas State softball. So, Ricci Woodard throws her name out there, comparing her to some players. So it's impressive.
Dude, shout out Kat Osterman for calling the UTSA baseball games now. What the
Mhm.
heck is that?
Our favorite Bobcat. Yeah. I don't know. I got no problem with
Cool
it.
with
Take
it?
the money where you can get it. Get the paycheck where you can get it.
I'm cool with getting a bag where you can.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Also, I mean, like, doesn't her husband do something for UTSA now? Isn't he
Does
like
he?
the golf coach or something?
I have no idea.
I thought he was. I don't know.
Dude, tell you
Um,
what, this freaking UTSA basketball team, the women's, Incredible.
Don't stop it. Stop it.
I
Competition.
play their highlights
Hey,
every night now.
the competition's lower than the Sun Belt. Let's start there.
The American,
Um,
you think
yeah,
I think it's kind of I think it's kind of equal. It's not like an
women's
amazing
basketball in the American is not what the Sun Belt is. Okay,
Oh God.
Sun Belt supremacy.
Hey, you will I feel like you give the same take I do most of the time, which is basketball in the Sun Belt, not that big of a deal most of the time.
I just can't let you say that UTSA women's basketball is better than Texas State's, which it might be right now.
At this
Which
moment in
it
time,
might be right now.
at this moment in time, I mean they're
Not
like
great.
on a 15-game win streak.
But what's the competition, Jakey? What's the competition?
True.
Wait till they
Temple, UAB,
win the
Memphis.
conference, win the conference tournament, and then go get your ass kicked by like South Carolina. Have fun. Good luck, UTSA. Eat them.
Men's team is garbage though, because I don't even have to
Oh yeah.
I don't even have to look at the highlights. They're like, oh, we shot UTSA tonight. I'm like, they lose. Doesn't matter who they played in the American, they lost.
So they did something really smart, which is they play a bunch of like weird midweek games at like early in the day. So you end up getting them on like ESPN2 or ESPNU or whatever. And it's like,
That's the old Texas State special, bro. Before we got all
yeah,
high and mighty with our football team.
yeah. I'm
But
like,
then
what is
our
going
football
on?
team played all these midweek games this year, so who did it really mess up?
Well, I'm talking for basketball. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, I'm watching like
Well, you remember we used to do
UTSA and
that too.
Charlotte right now.
Like it was like a Thursday at like 4 p.m. Go to
We used
Strand.
to do that.
Yeah.
I don't remember that because I was at the game, so I wasn't
Yeah.
worried so much about the
There was
time.
some substance abuse back in those days.
Yeah, I was like, I don't remember that. But when are we gonna get volleyball to have like some attitude like the like softball does? That's what I need.
You
I need
want
them to have.
volleyball players with attitude?
Mm-hmm. VWA.
Yeah, I was trying to do the acronym in my head. Is it
Yeah.
VBWA? I don't know.
No.
Maybe that's their takers, you know?
Hmm. Those shirts would sell like hotcakes.
Dude, we needed all of those guys to take a year, like a COVID year, run it back, establish the culture again, run it back.
They're all oldish. They're all old.
Yeah, the takers are in a retirement home right now.
Dude's pushing 30 getting on the court.
You know
I
what I
hope
want?
he'd win some games.
You know who I want on the pod? Marlon Davis. Maybe I'll hit him up soon.
Yeah, that'd be a fun one. That'd be a fun summer one.
Be some fun one. Yeah, we have to. We're. I think we're gonna continue having guests. By the way, we're talking to Coach Ricci Woodard. This is basically their media day. I didn't see them post anything else about it, like baseball did. But if you try to watch that media day that baseball did, you'll hear the overmodulation on that mic that Steve Trout wears. He sounds like Optimus Prime out there, bro.
Yeah, in this day and age with the portal, I think it's every year you're gonna have a new class. It just seems that.
I am Optimus Prime, and I send this message to any surviving Autobots taking refuge among the stars. We are here.
Our team will be very good. So, like, what are you doing? What's going on?
Crazy.
We have
bro.
to fight the Decepticons. Come on, what?
How do you feel about week 3 again? No one can challenge us.
Our pitching staff will unite. It's like, okay, cool.
I guess we've already talked about baseball. Shout out their win against Oklahoma State. More on the back half of this podcast. Here is our interview with Coach Ricci Woodard. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Squarin Around. I'm Jacob Rodriguez. That's Andrew Zimmel, the Texas State Sports Press. And this week, we are joined by the winningest coach at Texas State. Is that true? Is that right now currently the winningest head coach, Coach Ricci Woodard?
Well, when you've been here 25 years, you probably have a chance to have that title. So
Pretty
sure.
good.
Shout out longevity. Shout out longevity. I have been sitting on this question for like 13 hours, Coach. What is worse, watching a 2-2 fastball go by for strike 3 or locking your keys in your car? Because I locked my keys in my car yesterday, and I was thinking, because I knew we had this interview today, and I was like, I can't remember a time that my life has sucked this bad. And then I thought about watching a third strike go by. I was like, yeah, that's probably was worse.
Probably depends on the situation. Because locking your keys in your car, man, that's one of the worst nightmares.
Especially if you have somewhere to go.
That you have to experience. I did that on a game day one day. So I probably I had a chance to do both things on the same day. So that's probably the worst case scenario. But yeah.
Well, tell us that story.
And it was probably not a good story. I'm pretty sure I was out hitting golf balls at the golf range on game day, which now I'd be like, are you guys freaking kidding me? And went to leave to go to my game. And yeah, keys were inside the car, sitting on the seat, and I was panicking. So yeah, had a
So
good
how'd you
ride.
figure it out? How'd you get it?
I don't even remember. I just remember getting a ride to the softball field. That's all I really cared about at the time. So luckily, all my stuff wasn't in my car. So yeah,
So I had to
Did
call
you
a guy who drove from the east side of San Antonio to like get the air pump deal to like pump the car, and then it's like an hour of waiting for 5 minutes of work. Low key,
right.
and I'm telling you right now, if I make a career shift, it's to that. It's to get because it was like $150 for 5 minutes
Right.
of work. It's an
Right.
incredible job. Incredible job.
Some people,
Yeah.
it's just like their side hustle, you know? They're like a tradesman or whatever sort of apprentice deal, and then they just get a call on their phone. They're like, all right, it's time to go. It's like the bat signal.
It's a sweet
It's all
gig. All
about
right,
supply and demand, isn't it? When you want that, when you need in your car, you'll pay what you need to.
Hmm. Well, did you win that game, Coach?
I don't really remember anything except for that I was at the golf course hitting golf balls when I shouldn't have been. And then I had to get to the game. And so, yeah, I don't remember anything but the panic of the day, to be honest.
well, you're 8-2 now, so not a lot of panic coming into this season. Won the conference last year. You bring back a lot of the same players, but a couple of big, I think big pieces from last year's team missing with Mullins and Vanderfelt. How do you feel coming into this year?
Yeah, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel. I'll be honest. I can tell you that I picked up 4 transfers in the portal that have changed this year for us immensely.
Really?
Yeah, I mean they're at the top of the category of every stats we have pretty much. Emma Stroud was the pitcher from LSU that was 3-0 this weekend and very well could have been the pitcher of the week also. And then when you look offensively at us, Keely Williams and Ayanna Coleman are both at the top in batting average and RBI run production. Kate Babella's gonna hold her own. She's a year younger than them, but I think she's gonna be the real deal here before she gets out of here too. So you talk about those 4 transfers, and I haven't spent a lot of time in the portal in my lifetime, but those were game changers.
Well, so how does that come about? Because Texas State historically has been a very good softball program. Is it just they're calling you? Are you looking in there for the first time being like, hey, let's try this out? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, most of those, Kate Babella I had recruited out of high school. Emma Stroud, there was just some background there with a little bit of my brother and recruiting her early on. She was one of those that was, committed as an 8th grader to LSU. And so, yeah. So, you
Hard to break
spend a
those
lot
bonds.
of time. Do what?
I said it's hard to break those bonds, but it's like
Right.
recruit you since 8th grade.
Right. I think she wants to pitch. And so she just saw that probably at LSU, she wasn't going to get as many innings as she wanted to. And so she got out of there. The other 2, both I would have recruited hard. But, they were both pretty set on A&M early on in their careers. You grow up a Longhorn or an Aggie in this state. And so we got to break that bond somehow.
Not for long. The next generation, Texas State. I'm telling you, Coach.
Well, would you ever
in.
recruit somebody that early? Like, would you offer an 8th grader or something ever?
In all of that time frame where recruiting was so crazy for us and so early, we offered one 8th grader and it didn't pan out for us either. So she ended up having injuries and never really being able to play. And so I kept trying to say we're going to wait till they're at least a freshman in high school and maybe have played this season of high school ball. But sooner or later, I would have had to jump on the bandwagon. I'm sure. I just got lucky.
Wow.
We changed the rule.
Okay. Well, now when do we change the rule? And now is it with transfer portal? I guess you kind of don't have to recruit as early anymore.
Yeah, now we can't really talk to them until September 1st of their junior year anyway. So that's made it a little bit better. But yeah, the later you can make a kid make a decision, I think the better chance you have of them being successful.
I was listening to GJ talk about the transfer portal. He was talking about how it's like kind of like Zillow or like Airbnb, where you can like look at like individual traits, like how tall somebody is, how big somebody is.
I think some of the offensive linemen that we signed, I know that's not probably like the sexy answer, but I think we really hit on some of those guys. So probably the O-line.
It's because you found him on the transfer portal Zillow?
Not all those guys. Not all those guys. Going back to some of these high school kids like Amir Ross and Big Kirk from Temple, like, man, that O-line room, I like those guys.
How's that transfer portal Zillow?
No, yeah. Well, I'll show you. I'll show you one day. We'll get up there. Yeah.
Give me a login?
Yeah, no, can't get you a login. No, it's really cool, and there's all kinds of different ones. We use coaching by the numbers and all that kind of good stuff, but there's different filters and so I really like the analytics part of it and kind of seeing all that kind of good stuff. So I get on there and so I'm just in there grinding away, and you can go from that coaching by the number. So like all these kids put out like their highlights and stuff, like transfer highlights. Nobody's watching that. Nobody's watching. None of us are watching that. I've never watched a transfer highlight. Maybe if they haven't played before, like and they don't have any PFF, then we got to watch practice highlights. But I'm not much into that. I'd rather like so you go to their stuff, like you click their whatever the Zillow Realtor.com, and you filter and you go through all this stuff, and then boom, you can watch it pulls up their Twitter, their Instagram, their high school track numbers, whatever they have like that's known out there in the cloud, and you click on their stuff and you can watch it, and you can there's a link to their PFF, so you go to their PFF and you can watch all their pass rush, you can watch all their if it's a receiver, all their targets, there's all kinds of information out there you can watch and look at. So that's something that and the PFF always tells the truth. Like you find a guy and you like him, and then you go to the PFF and those key plays, there's good ones and there's bad ones, right, too. So you got to go in there and really look at it and be able to, that's why it's like those guys that have played a lot, it's man, they're just super valuable.
Like what they do specifically, because he was like, we get tapes sent to us like by everybody, but I'm not watching any of that. I'm just on my phone. So if
you're right, social media is crazy now.
Mm-hmm. We get tagged all the time. Like, look at my tape. Like, I can't help you, brother. I'm sorry. Wish I could.
Hey, time out. Speaking of social media, somebody sent me something about a Valentine or something.
Ooh, yeah, did you get my Valentine's Day card in the mail? Yeah.
Do you like that one?
I like that one. That was good. Good.
And then somebody, I won't say who, but somebody on the internet was like, Jacob, their bats are not hot right now. And then you guys smoked them over the weekend. And I said, yes, they are. What are you talking about?
That's perfect. That's perfect. They weren't hot there for a while, that's for sure. But we definitely started coming to our own.
Well, and that's not fair. We'll get back into the recruiting. That's not fair. It's like the first week of the season. Like, what are you expecting? You know what I mean? And it's cold out. We got to heat the bats up. Like, come on, get the microwave going.
Give us a break. We just paused a whole game, and I guess you can explain this much better than I can, Coach. But the Sam Houston game, I'm talking to you like in the middle of that game, basically. So you guys will finish that when you guys go to their place, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So we played it under a halted game rule. I'm like, you can do it one of two ways. You can try to play 5 innings and call it a complete game, or you can play it and say that we're going to try to finish the game later and not just make it a 5-inning game. So we had decided at the plate we were going to make it a halted game rule. So we go over there, I think in April, and we'll play those last couple innings and then just start the second game there. So kind of works out nice. Hopefully it'll be a lot nicer weather than it was last night.
Mm-hmm. Well,
too cold for you?
It was miserable.
It was like it had to have been in the 30s or high 20s or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think when we finished, when I got to my car, the real feel was like 28 already.
That's disgusting. No.
Yeah.
So how quickly did you come to an agreement that you would halt that game?
Real quickly. So we sat through rain first, and and my players had to put the tarp on, so now they're wet. So now they're wet and cold. So as soon as it stopped raining, we started trying to play, but the wind had started picking up right away. And so we were both like, let's try to get through 5. But about the middle of the 4th, I kept on asking him, hey, when are you going to be done? Let's be done. So he was like, yeah, the whole sign language.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
But you guys, there's been a lot of dramatic scenes at the softball complex, because last year during the tournament, it was like the worst day ever, basically.
Yeah, you had like tornado weather. I was gonna say,
yeah, tornado and
you
hail.
told me to stay away. I kept my promise. So you got bad weather, but you got the wind too. So can't complain really.
True. Yeah, true. That's been the fun thing about watching this group and last year's group is the resiliency to just figure it out and keep playing. Because that was a prime example. We didn't get to play that night, so we were gonna have to play 2 the next day, and everybody else only had to play 1 a day, and just didn't seem to bother him. And even last night, I was shocked. We went out and put up 4 runs in that 30-degree weather, and I was overly pleased because I don't have a group that's had a lot of game experience. So knowing how we're going to handle adversity is probably the biggest question mark of the year.
So what can you tell us about that? Because like I said, last year's group, you had a bunch of them that were together for a long time. This year's group, it's kind of less experience, kind of a couple transfers. What did it look like coming into the season when it came to like this team getting put together?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time at practice trying to just get to know each other, learn, my system and how things work. My brother's defensive system. So it's just been almost a cat and a mouse game. It's like we want to break them down and teach them, but also keep their confidence at the same time. Because even my returners, when you look at the list, they don't have many innings under their belt. You take out Megan Kellner and Bass and Sierra Trahan was out from the 1st of April on last year too. So when we lost Zarate in that lineup, I was definitely worried. So we had a couple of freshmen that have stepped up and done a good job, but overall they're just a fun group. They seem to get along really well. They don't have a lot of drama. They just want to play softball.
Yeah. And I mean, coming off a conference championship has to feel pretty good too. You know what I mean? That's now the bar. That's the standard.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's why those transfers are here, because they want to keep that standard. They want to keep, getting us to regionals and fighting to get to a super regionals. And I think, that's still the draw here is we have a chance to still do something special.
How's the rest of the conference look?
It'll be an interesting year. Nobody's got the dominating pitching. I think, probably when you go to Azua and Stroud, I think we probably have the best 1-2 punch in the conference pitching wise.
Well, that seems like something that Texas State has kind of hung their hats on for probably, I don't know when I want to go too far, but like 15 years.
Yeah, maybe longer than that. You're right. I'm not the smartest tool in the shed, but I understand that pitching wins ball games.
Yeah, no kidding.
I guess if you ever had to simulate adversity for this team, you mentioned already the weather stuff, but I guess you could take the team out to the golf range before a game, lock your keys in your car, and say how we're gonna get home.
That I don't suggest that to anyone, especially when they even tell me they're going to go hit golf balls or something like that, and I'm like, you're going to do what? That is not going to be good for your swing. So let's not do that.
I tell Jacob, I've told him this story before, but like you cannot swing a golf club. I was a baseball player. It was right. You cannot swing a golf club. And now I can't golf. And, I don't play baseball anymore. So I'm really useless. I have nothing.
You did get into it, though. You wanted to get custom clubs and stuff for a while.
Yeah.
When you were in the Great White North. And
yeah,
that just never
they got some nice
fruition.
golf simulators. They got some nice golf simulators in the Midwest because nobody can do anything outside. So... it's not bad, but I didn't do it. I'm left-handed, so it's like, do I really want to buy clubs? No. So
I understand. I went through the golf thing when I was at Oregon too, and then I would just be mad because I'm like, the ball's not moving, and I still can't hit it the same way every single time. It doesn't make sense to me. Like in our sport, the ball's moving, and so it's still harder. But the ball's just sitting there on this little tee. I should be able to hit it exactly how I want to hit it every time. And I finally just got frustrated and said, forget it. I don't want to put any more money or time or emotions into the game of golf. So,
and people tell me that it's supposed to be like some sort of like, oh, you turn your brain off. I turned my brain off when I was playing baseball way more than I did when I was like trying to do golf. Like I just can't, because I'm thinking like the hitch and everything else. When I was in the batter's box, I was like, I'm going to try to get a hit. And if I don't get a hit, I'm going to get yelled at. So, what's going to happen here? Then I was a pitcher. So it was like, I'm more focused on like the pitching side of things. Like, all right, what do I need to do coming? Yeah. So I was never a good hitter. That's problem solved.
That's funny. I took a golf class in college, but it happened during COVID. So I learned how to hit every single club except the driver. And that was the week that COVID happened. And so we went home for like 2 weeks for spring break and then we never came back. And it was such a bummer because I was like, well, now I can't hit the long ball. Like, what am I doing? I go out to the range and stuff with my friends. I feel like my short game is great, but, that's about it.
So what do you look for in a pitcher?
Probably there's a couple of things. One, I just look to see what is this kid going to be able to do to get outs. Like I have a kid coming in next year that wasn't very highly recruited, but she throws 66, 67 miles an hour and kind of reminds me of Jessica Mullins. And so I'm like, let's take her and see if we can do the same thing. So just how are we going to get out?
So funny you say that it reminds you of Jessica Mullins because the head coach at Texas has used Jessica as a comp, and then I think the head coach at Arizona State, I want to say, used her as a comp too. And when did she become like the prototype for like the next generation of pitchers? Like everybody wants to have the next Jessica Mullins.
Yeah, again, because nobody wanted to recruit her. And there was a lot of different, ties to that. But I'll tell you, the kid was like a sponge when she got here, and she wanted to be the best. And so if you can find that kid, you have a chance to teach them exactly what you want them to do to get out. Her mentality was second to none. Probably some of that younger when she wasn't mature enough to handle that mentality yet. Might have scared some people off. I'm not going to lie. Nobody was really sure what Jessica Mullins was going to be like when she got to college, as a person, as a player, all the way around. So
I've been waiting to talk to a coach about this because recently I've been talking to high school coaches and they say there's just not as many competitive kids anymore. That like the competition 5-10 years ago pre-COVID was a lot higher. Now it's harder to find those like really competitive like individuals. Do you find that to be true too when you're going out on the recruiting circuit?
Yeah, 100%, because now that competitive piece causes anxiety. And I'm not trying to be the bearer of bad news, but that's how I feel, is that we have to be just so aware of the line between trying to get them to compete and driving them over the edge.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say too. Like, is that better or worse coming off of the season that you just had,
Yeah, I don't know. We'll find out, I guess, huh?
Well, because Jacob and and again, like it's weird that there's like a generational divide here, but it really does feel like Jessica was in our kind of group, and now there's clearly like a generational divide where it's like we were very hyper competitive, and now we're in businesses where you have to be very competitive in media. And I look and see and I hear like, okay, there's not that next group of people being competitive. I love that. I'm not going to have to deal with anybody chasing my job down. But like for a coach, I don't know how you guys do it, because how do you try to win and compete if you don't have people who want to compete? Like, I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I have the best answer for that. I think it depends on, and I say this is why I've done this job for 25 years at the same place, because every year is different. And it boils down to that right there. Is how do we get this team, this group of young ladies to compete? I mean, that's the bottom line. And this year I just wasn't real sure how that was going to go, because you could tell we caused a lot of anxiety in the fall. You could tell. I mean, I was like, man, I don't know if they're going to be able to handle this. And I've seen a totally different group in the spring where they just have gone out. The first weekend I wasn't real impressed. We did okay, but competed that first night against Arkansas. I was like, okay, we might be all right. But the next 3 games, I was like, man, I don't know. And then last weekend, we just played our tail ends off. And it's hard to win 6 games in a weekend. I don't care who you're playing, what the competition is. That's hard to do. So
do you think it's because you're getting to play actual games? Do you think that's part of it, that there's a scoreboard and there's a winner and a loser and that helps it?
Yeah, to some degree. I mean, we try to simulate that in practice as much as we can.
It's hard though.
Yeah. The best practice we had is I had 2 GAs pick teams. And then, those teams competed against each other. And that was probably the most competitive practice we actually had. Because there was a little bit more to it on which GA's team was going to win, because they picked them. So, but it's hard to emulate, yes, game day for sure.
Is it tougher when you're just at home too? I mean, if there's a time to buy in all the way to the softball team at every single home game, it's like right now, because you guys are at home like basically for the next month and a half, it feels like.
Yeah, almost. I mean, we go to A&M in 2 weeks for a tournament, and then we're back home for 2 weekends. But for some reason, people are enjoying coming to Texas State to play ball games. So it's been kind of nice. I mean, next year we kind of have the same setup. I'm going to host 4 of the 5 weekends. And so it's always a catch-22. Does playing at home help or does it not? I think it does, but it also, I think when you're on the road, you bond, get to spend more time together. And so I don't know if this was the best idea to do it this way. I guess, again, ask me in May and I'll let you know.
Well, if you're going on the road and you're bonding and you're winning conference titles, and then you're coming home and you're playing home games and you're winning conference titles, I don't think it really matters. Like, just keep winning, right? That's the most important thing.
At the end of the day, it is for for me.
Well, I guess you
There you
can talk about it the most, as I said before, the winningest head coach at Texas State right now. Like, is that really the cure all for everything? Like, people were like wondering when GJ got here, like, how is this going to fix it? Well, he started winning a bunch of games and everything like turned around. The same thing, I guess, could be said about every sport. No?
That's my theory. I've had some bosses along the way that tried to say, we need to go up on campus more and we need to go eat lunch in the student cafeterias and that'll get more students to our games. And, my theory was always like, we need to win, period. Nobody wants to come watch losing teams. They just don't. I mean, I don't.
Shout out tennis.
Yeah, that's why we call them bandwagon fans. So, I'm like, so I've always just been, if you win, it'll take care of itself.
Yeah. Well, I've always said there's a lot of things you can do in San Marcos besides watch a losing team too. It doesn't help that you live in such a great place to hang out, have fun. A lot of stuff to do in the summertime and the springtime too. So
yeah, no doubt. Like that 80-degree weekend we had and the river was packed already.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Well, and I always say too that it helps because Texas State, whether you're trying to or not, you find ways to find interesting people to watch. Like the Rupp sisters were incredible to watch. Mullins was incredible to watch. And like Vanderfelt was incredible to like talk to and watch. And they all had personality and they all did different things. And if I'm in a class with one of these players, whether that be a business class or whatever, and I'm hanging out with them and we're trying to figure out like a group project and it's, oh, by the way, I also play softball. I need to go see you play softball. Like it's because you got good players too, like good people that are players.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That is one of the things that I pride myself on it. And especially the older I get, the more I'm about character. They're just easier to coach. It's just more fun. It makes my job easier. And we seem to win more.
Yeah.
So who do we have to watch out for? Like for the casual fan watching this, that's like, you know what? I'm going to watch softball. Who do I have to look out for?
Maddie Azua would be at the top of my list right now.
Pitcher of the week, right?
Yeah, and the reason she was picked to be the pitcher of the year for the Sun Belt. I think she got to sit back as a freshman and learn and watch. Not every pitcher that I've had here that's been good has got to do that. Like Randy Rupp gave up 33 home runs as a freshman. And people forget
Bingo.
that year.
Yep,
yeah,
I was
people
gonna say
forget that year. So Maddie got to sit back and watch that a little bit, and kind of see what it was going to be like to be the Haas. And now she's gonna get to hold that role down. Now again, I think picking up Emma Stroud's going to help her not have to carry the load completely, but I still think at the end of the day, she's fun to watch. From the offensive side, Keely Williams and Ayanna Coleman right now would be the two that they're the 3-4 hole and they're gonna produce runs. They're gonna get on base. They're just fun to watch hit, to be honest.
There you go. Keep winning games.
That's the plan. That's the plan.
This is the only team I can count on bringing me home banners. That's the thing that I like most.
That's
Jacob
grows
grows
right there, Andrew.
Jacob grows a little mustache for baseball. That's fine.
You're not gonna, you're gonna do for softball, yeah.
I do my thing where I root for teams who win. I want you to bring home like banners. That's what I care the most about. And also regular season does like win your games, win the tournament, because that's the only way we can go play in the postseason. It feels like
I am
most
jealous.
of the time. Although the year before this past year, I mean, those were both at large bids.
Yeah.
So.
But I don't like going and being the at-large. You know what I mean? I want to.
Hoping your name comes up?
Yeah, punch the ticket for me, please. Talking about anxiety. I'm a competitive guy because I have anxiety that you're not going to punch the ticket. Punch the ticket. Let's go.
I hear you. Last year we were the last name to come up. So thank God we have an automatic bid or I would have been really freaking out. You're right. Yeah.
I was so jealous of Andrew though, because he got to see you all win, and I don't think I've ever seen a Sun Belt title win like, in front of me in San Marcos.
Man, that was fun. You missed a fun day. That was.
Yeah. Well, you told me to stay away, so I was just following orders.
Yeah.
No, it was fun. My favorite part was they put us in the trailer in the back to do the post game press conference. That was fun. Yeah, enjoyed that. Next year, I'm going to bring a table and a light for you, and you can do it out like in the open instead of having us in like a garage.
Yeah, it's always. I never really know what the setup's going to be.
Except when we show up with a camera and a couple microphones.
Yeah.
Just do it on the field. Probably be just as easy.
Exactly. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
All
fun.
right. We'll let you go, Coach. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yep. Thank you guys, man. Keep up the good work.
Does this count as y'all's media day? I didn't see y'all post anything on YouTube. We ask all the important questions.
Yes, this is media day right here.
Let's go.
Yeah, this is the media day. So
Dude.
y'all are it. You guys win the prize this year.
Woo!
Hey, that's all we asked for. Never forget that Squarin Around was the place for Texas State softball.
The place to get your softball.
Yeah, that means when I see you guys at the spring football game, I won't have to give you so much hell this year.
Oh, well, actually, Coach, I wanted to wait until we were talking to you to ask Andrew this question. Andrew, are we still going to our doubleheader this weekend to see softball and baseball?
That's this Saturday.
Yeah.
I don't have it in my calendar. You
One
got to put it
plays
in the
at
calendar.
2:30, the other plays at 3:30. We can make both.
Well, probably maybe both of those are going to change, just so y'all know. So
Yeah, perfect.
but I
There
think
you go.
baseball's going to go at like 2:30, and we're going to be at like 4:30. So you're still going to have the double.
Let's find a
header day.
warmer weekend.
Look at
Let's find
that.
a warmer weekend to do this.
Boo-hoo. I'm Andrew Zimmel.
I did enough.
Sunday's
I did my
nice.
cold tour. I don't need to do a cold tour
It's not
anymore.
even going to be that cold on Saturday, though. Like, compared to, like, right now.
Saturday's still like in the 30s, but Sunday's
Really?
like 75. So
See, all right, let's do Sunday.
Sunday, you
I
give us
can do
both.
Sunday.
All
I can do
right.
Sunday. I can't do
We
Saturday.
we can make that work, I think.
Perfect. Yeah. Sunday looks nice. Come Sunday.
But look at him.
Okay.
He was already trying to chicken out, Coach.
I wasn't. Oh, you got to tell me because I have a calendar. I got plans, dude.
We made this plan last week. What are you talking
I
about?
don't remember that. I will say I apologize. We were supposed to go to your game after the spring game last year. I spent 3 hours talking about how to fix college football.
At Herbert's
Game-
Taco Hut.
Game got
At
away from
Herbert's
us.
trying to fix the Big 12.
Yeah, it got away from us. I apologize for that one. That was on me.
Well,
Yeah,
at
he
least
was
you're
like,
at
it's time to go
Herbert's.
to
That's not bad.
softball.
I understand if you're at Herbert's.
Yeah, see.
Yeah.
Shout
It was
out.
good.
All right, boys. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. We'll see you
All right.
soon.
Thanks, Coach.
Bye, Coach.
Bye bye.
That was
Thank
a
you so much, Coach.
That's a fun bit.
I mean, like, I'm happy. I thought she gave some really interesting answers, especially when you talk about the competitiveness. I was very interested in that. When it came to how do you recruit, I'm always into that like recruiting idea because now she gets 4 players in the transfer portal, something that she hasn't done before. Is this going to be the future of the program? Because she seems like she's pretty locked in on like, let me go get high school players year after year after year.
Right. Well, there's a few
But I
ways
mean, if
that-
it works this year, don't change it.
There's a few ways that coaches like do the transfer portal. Obviously, GJ is Mr. Transfer Portal. He is not afraid of going in that thing. Basketball, I think, was very like hesitant to get into the transfer portal, and that's why you kind of see the ebbs and flows of that, right now.
Well, the hard part too about it is like if you're trying to establish a culture and you're getting guys from different cultures, like you almost need the cultures to match too. Like also game planning that helps. Like if you're used to running a 2-3 versus man or running man versus zone or whatever, like you need to be able to fit into whatever Texas State wants to run. So I'm glad that she did that though, because I mean we look pretty damn good.
Trouty and her have always been good about having their own prospect camps, so they usually know who's the best out of the JUCOs and stuff, and so they get from there, and they plug and play. We have a few other transfers as well from both sides, but yeah, this different way to do business. So it's kind of interesting.
Were you surprised by that Texas State baseball and softball have like so good of like prospect camps? Like when you talk about reputation, like I did not know that the reputation of those camps were as high as they were.
No, I was not surprised at all. Why? Because I love Steve Trout. That's on the record on this show.
Okay. I go to both the basketball games tonight.
Oh, really?
I got invited by women's basketball. They said you need to come out, and I was like, all right, I'll come to the next home one. Didn't realize it was a Wednesday.
No Jakey invite?
We work, so
Oh.
I always preface it with like Jacob will not be there. He has to work, and they're like, oh, that's a shame. So
That's what when they invite me places, but not you. I'm like, Andrew won't show up. I'm like, well, this wasn't about Andrew. About you getting over here.
I mean, I appreciate that. Big Thad, shout out to I'll be at your thing that Jacob won't be at. Just salutes to that.
Dude, it's such BS. They have why are they having these things on Thursday nights at like 6 p.m.? I'm not gonna make that, dog.
No, I will. So
And they're like, "Why? You work at 11 p.m.?" Yeah, I do. I'm being
Yeah,
off
I
at
do.
11 p.m., my man.
I'm like a
You
gas
ever hear of the
station
10
worker.
o'clock news?
I'm like a gas station worker. I do my long shift, bro. It's like, okay, got it.
So
When
you
is
excited to
softball?
see? So you had a take on the internet a couple, maybe days, but it could have been
Uh-oh.
weeks ago. That was like, even though Texas State women's basketball had another bad loss,
Hmm.
I still think that they could do something in the Sun Belt Conference tournament. I feel like a lot of people have given up on the men's team. Hashtag don't. Tournament season's up next.
Hashtag don't.
Hashtag don't. Tournament season's up next. Why are you so high on the women's team still?
I'm liking what I'm seeing. They're supposed to get some players back. I can't disclose injury updates, but they're supposed to get some
You
players
won't do
back.
that even? I've done that for the men's team because the freaking AD told me and
Yeah,
then he was
I'm not.
wrong.
I learned my lesson. I'm not doing it with the women's team. They're supposed to get some players back for tournament season, and I think my constant complaining about them not winning the tournament is finally getting to them. So hopefully, hopefully that will be the spark that they need to do something in Pensacola, Florida.
The media cabal that we have on the off-season sports is finally getting to them. They're like, wow. See what they said on Squarin?
If there's one Texas State podcast that talks about the different sports, and half of that podcast is complaining constantly about us not winning in the tournament, you do make some noise.
Dude, well, it's so funny actually because this is such a this team or my team, your team deal too, because you are glued into women's basketball. I
Yeah.
am the liaison between all sports between you and me. So obviously everybody knows me as well, but you have been glued in for like your entire career as a journalist on this team. That was like
Yeah.
your first team. And the basketball team,
Yeah.
I've always been tight with, I've come up with, I support. I give them all the grace in the world, and then they let me down, and then I just stopped kind of, putting those takes out there. But then your take still exists of like we need to win more. So it's funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's true.
It's true.
Because look, when we started this podcast, I'll take you behind my thought at least was that like both of us are on football. We both like it. I'm going to give Jacob the men's sports because they are a little bit more easy to cover. It's easier to get into. And I'll take the women's sports because I've already been doing it. I like those sports. And then you took track and I took volleyball to a lesser extent, but you kind of, I watched some volleyball.
I think I
games.
kind of adopted soccer, even though we didn't have them on this year.
Nah, we didn't have one again this year.
But they were on this show the first season, everybody.
1 year. They came on once. It's just tough because it's during football too.
Yeah.
You're not gonna.
And especially this season, like we didn't even talk to basketball until like way late. Like normally,
when football inevitably regresses at some point,
inevitably,
soccer, you're up to bat,
and you better be ready to play, baby.
Be ready to play.
We might. There were some dark years, but we were doing track and field cross country features. You remember those years?
Dude, I did a golf feature on the guy that could juggle. Remember that?
Yes.
Those are good. Low key though, I'm not saying that I'm like Rick Riley, but those were pretty good features.
No.
Rick Riley, writer for Sports Illustrated for a long time.
Anybody
I don't know if I had to slip that in.
Didn't get that one. This thing on. How we feeling out there?
I love our middle infield.
Yeah, I really want to get out to baseball, but it is going to be so cold this weekend.
Yeah, I said Sunday. I'm not doing Saturday. I look at the weather forecast.
What time do they play on Sunday? Baseball schedule?
No, that legitimately is my cousin. So it's
really?
like my third. It's my third cousin. Yeah. Yeah. So I reached out to him on Instagram and said, "Hey, biggest fan."
Did he know who you were?
See you at the family reunion. I said, ask your grandfather Tom about me, because his grandfather and my dad are cousins. So
cutting this part. That's crazy.
He's really good too.
Did he respond to you?
Delivered.
Wow.
We'll see. Hey, delivered. He's a future NBA player, bro. I don't expect him to get back to me. He is. He's
6'10"?
very good.
Oh my God. This guy's freaking huge.
Mm-hmm.
Do you weigh more than or less than 235 pounds?
More than.
Really?
I don't know. I have no idea.
You?
Probably. I'm a fat ass.
Well, this guy's 6'10", though. Is that small? Is that small for his frame or?
What are we trying to do? Like tug of war? Like, what are you talking about? Like, if you were in a tug of war with this guy, would you win? Probably not.
I'm just fascinated by tall people because I'm short. That's not me.
He's really good. Watch some
Like
highlights.
if I saw him in real life, I'd be like, oh my god! Like
This
when
is
I
going to
freaked
become a
out
North
when
Coast
that.
State podcast. If he goes to the league, this is going to become his like fan podcast. I will be watching him every game.
Dude, just like my cousin Evan, bro.
This
By
guy
the way,
doesn't
I'm
know.
going. Texas State plays UTRGV. It's like a random Tuesday in May. I'm gonna be there, and
It's in the Valley, right?
Yeah, it's at UTRGV. Can't wait. We'll
Cool.
see. We'll see how this team really develops too.
I'm not driving 6 hours for the game. That's crazy.
So you're obviously more excited to see the women's team, no? Basketball.
Softball?
Basketball.
I'm excited to see. Cut this part. You can come back now.
All right. That's funny. Damn. Is it hashtag over for the men's team? We're ready to call
it's
this
not.
season?
It's never hashtag over, but it is very much hashtag almost done.
Yeah, what's a good
They need to
hashtag
have-
for this team? Hashtag keep it up.
Hashtag Kobe mentality.
Ooh. These guys
Hashtag Wendy's.
These guys hashtag don't have that.
Hashtag Wendy's.
Hashtag Wendy's. Dude, we should start doing that, actually.
Look, I love TJ. I hope that he gets 2 more years because I don't want to pay that contract out.
It's like almost $1 million that we would give him.
I don't want to do
Is
that.
our basketball program worth more than $1 million? That's the $1 million question, actually.
Yeah, that's tough. Tough look. I don't know.
believe
We'll
in
see.
him. He's my guy, for real. Except last time at this press conference, there was I stepped over somebody else's toes in the press conference, and he gave me a look, and I was like,
Really?
what are we, not in a scrum right now?
Who'd you jump on?
It was a University Star KTSW person.
Oh, so they don't even matter. Like, what are we talking about here?
Come on, look, I have an Emmy. Come on.
I got to go soon. So you want to wrap this?
Yeah, I'm ready. Shout out Coach Woodard. Good luck on your season. They started playing pretty much 2 weeks ago, and they're also at home all the time. So go
8-2
support
through the
softball.
first 10.
8-2 through the first 10. They play a couple of really big games. They go out to play A&M twice, I think. So yeah, should be fun. Super happy fun times in softball land.
And this is the sports, baseball and softball that we're very locked into. So I'm excited for that. And the commentary crews, I'm going to give you a note from Andrew Zimmel. Please wake up. Please drink some coffee. Please do whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
I cannot listen to softball games with the guys half asleep. This is not for Texas State. This is across the board. Wake up. Please, Lord, please.
You could
You're
not
not
have
eating-
less energy than me and Andrew right now as we record this podcast at a Wednesday at 10:43.
Wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up. Thanks for scoring, everybody.
Pinch poke, yo, me a Coke.
We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
Better not come any closer.
Thanks for listening. New episodes out every Thursday. Follow the boys on Twitter. Eat 'em up. Eat 'em up.